What is going on, guys? It's Modded Warfare here. Welcome back to another PS5 Jailbreak update video. So in this video, we're talking about a new piece of information that has dropped that could potentially be a PS5 jailbreak just 1 year after the PS5 has released, which is pretty insane. So what am I talking about? Well, TheFlow released this screenshot, tweeted out this screenshot of a settings menu on the PS5 that has a debug settings option. And obviously TheFlow is a well-trusted member of the kind of PlayStation hacking scene. He's done, exploits for the PS Vita and the PS4, obviously. He's the one that broke us out of 5.05 and got us jailbreaks for 6.72, 7.02, and 7.55. He's the one who reported these kernel exploits to Sony for the PS4 and then requested that they were disclosed publicly, which they eventually were. And that resulted in those jailbreaks. So definitely a very trusted member here, not somebody who typically trolls and, releases false information. So he hasn't directly said it's a PS5 jailbreak though, but obviously he tweeted this screenshot out and he also said that there's no plans for disclosure right now and there's no ETA on when it could be released. So does tend to sort of insinuate that this is a PS5 jailbreak. Now, obviously, there's a chance it could be a troll, that it could be fake. I mean, it could be a screenshot from a dev kit that would have access to the debug settings anyway. It could be some other way of enabling the debug settings through some kind of hidden code on the PS5. Who knows? But it's likely to be some kind of exploit because only a few weeks ago, we had the WebKit exploit release that works on the PS5. I covered that in my last news update video. So with that coming out, that allows, exploiters like TheFlow to actually, test exploits on the PS5 now that we have a WebKit exploit. So he may have already had a kernel exploit for the version of FreeBSD that the PS5 runs on, which I think is FreeBSD 11 or FreeBSD 12. So since he may have already had that, just waiting in the wings, as soon as a WebKit exploit came out, he could then chain it with that WebKit exploit to get a jailbreak on the PS5, which could be and is likely to be what he has done here. So that is very impressive if that is the case, and we potentially have a PS5 jailbreak already. Obviously, he's not going to release it, at least not right now. So I guess the next question is, why would he not have reported it to Sony? Now, it's possible he has reported it to Sony, it's just not showing up in the hacktivity section yet, just like CTurt's report took about a month before it appeared there. And, this is just the initial tweet showing that he has exploits, and it will pop up here in a month. And that could also be why he's saying there's no plans for disclosure and no ETA, because he may have reported it to Sony and, they have to check it over, maybe award a bounty. And then, if he requests disclosure, it takes, however long, it's kind of to Sony's discretion, I think, on when it would actually be disclosed. So that could be why he's saying this. I don't know. It seems kind of odd to me why he wouldn't, if he has reported it to Sony, why they would have allowed him to put out a screenshot like this and kind of talk about it a little bit. He is being a bit vague. He's not specifically saying it's a jailbreak. And just like CTurt, when he said that he received the $10,000 bounty and that he was being sent a PlayStation 5, and then there was also TheFlow in the past with his 6.72 jailbreak, he was able to put a tweet out saying not to update if you want a jailbreak, and that was after he already reported it to Sony, but before it was disclosed. So it seems like they are allowed to talk about it a little bit, just as long as they don't reveal too much information when they report it to Sony. So there is a chance that he's reported it to Sony. But if he hasn't reported it to Sony, it could be because somebody else has already reported the same vulnerability to Sony and their report's not showing up here yet, but will do eventually. And, obviously if TheFlow's discovered the same exploit but doesn't get a bounty because somebody else has already found one, then he could just share information about it because he wouldn't be under any kind of agreement to keep that information private. So there's that, of course. But ultimately, the other reason why he may not want to release it, even if, he's not reported it to Sony, could be just the fact that not many people really have PS5s right now. Obviously, there's the global chip shortage that's still going on in the world. and there's all the scalpers who are, inflating the prices. So a lot of people still don't have PS5s yet, and if he released a jailbreak now, it would be patched in the next update for the PS5, and then only people who already have PS5s right now would be able to jailbreak them. Anybody who buys a new PS5 would be buying one that's already updated to a higher firmware, and then wouldn't be able to do the jailbreak. So, if he released it now, it's really limiting the amount of people who would be able to take advantage of this jailbreak. There's even a lot of hackers in the scene who haven't even got their hands on PS5s yet, who would have a hard time getting a jailbroken PS5 to actually do anything with. So he might be wanting to wait a few months, maybe a year, maybe even longer, just to, make sure that most people will have access to PS5, so that when he releases the jailbreak, more people can take advantage of it, and it'll be better for the scene in general. So that could be the case. Obviously, I really hope that this does get disclosed soon, because, it'll just be really interesting to see what could be done with the PS5 with this much more powerful system. I'm personally excited for things like Linux and emulation more than anything else, because since the PS5 is a much more powerful system than the PS4, you could do a lot more with it. Obviously in terms of emulation, not just running games from like the 80s to the early 2000s from all the different consoles, but also, PS2 games, maybe even some PS3 games and Xbox 360 games with things like Xenia emulator and RPCS3. Some of those games will be too demanding straight away, but obviously as the emulators get more optimized, it might be possible. Also, of course, running PC games, because the thing is, the PS5 is kind of like a mid-tier gaming PC, whereas the PS4, even though you can run Linux on a jailbroken PS4 and run some PC games, it's more like buying a cheap office computer and sticking a $30 graphics card in it. That's basically the equivalent performance. Whereas the PS5 is going to be more like a mid-tier or maybe slightly low-tier gaming PC, but would still be able to run all of the major games at like medium settings, 1080p at least, and you would have no trouble like running all of the kind of modern games that are coming out at the moment. So yeah, it would be a gaming PC, it would be a great emulation box. You could run maybe the Switch emulator on it, as well as CMU, and like I said, RPCS3, maybe Xenia, and potentially, PS2 games and all that stuff. So it would just be like the ultimate gaming box for like emulation, PC gaming, as well as running PS5 and PS4 games via the backwards compatibility. So yeah, it would be really cool. So I'm super excited to see if this gets released. Hopefully it can get released, because I'm sure there will be future jailbreaks for the PS5 that come out, other vulnerabilities that get discovered. So, why can't we have the best of both worlds and have a new jailbreak come out now, and then some other jailbreak come out in the future for the people who are buying PS5s in the future? But, if the Flow thinks that it may be unlikely that we get that many exploits coming out for the PS5 in future, he may want to hang on to this for, a few months, maybe even a year or so that more people will be able to get PS5s, and ultimately they'll be able to jailbreak a lot more PS5s if he hangs on to it for a while. So we'll have to wait and see where this goes, but I'm definitely excited for this. I hope it does come out soon. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's possible, of course, it's not actually a jailbreak, and he's just enabled the debug settings through some other means. I feel like if it was just some little trick to enable the debug settings, he would have said in the tweet, that this is not a jailbreak. He would have clarified it. Yeah, it seems likely that it could actually be a full PS5 jailbreak. So that's pretty exciting. Obviously, the other thing is that there's not many games that you can actually run right now on the PS5. There's not that many PS5 games available. And this is going to be more like the 1.76 jailbreak for the PS4, which, was only 1.76 came out sometime in 2014. I think it might have been August of 2014, which was like less than a year after the PS4 came out. So because of that, you could only run mostly cross-gen games, because there weren't that many PS4 games actually out back then. And if that was the only jailbreak that we ever got, then yeah, it would have died a long time ago. Because people can't run their games. And it's not a case of piracy, it's just a case of, even if you have a retail game, you still can't run it if it requires a higher firmware. And that really kind of disenfranchises people from actually you know, jailbreaking their system if they can only run a very limited selection of their games. They'll have to have two consoles, one that they have updated and one they keep jailbroken, which is obviously expensive. So that could be the same situation that would happen here with the PS5 if he released it now, since there's not that many PS5 games available, mostly cross-gen games right now, and PS4 games. So because of that, he might not want to release it. He might want to wait until a few years when, you know, there's more PS5 games and, you know, more people can take advantage of the actual jailbreak on their PS5s. Because obviously Sony will not be able to patch this exploit if they don't know how it's done. So every new update that they release for the PS5 will still be vulnerable as long as this has not been shared with Sony. So that is kind of the advantage of keeping it private for a little while. Whereas if he releases it now, or if he's already reported it to Sony via the bug bounty program, it will be patched within the next significant PlayStation 5 update, firmware update. So that is pretty much where we are right there. You know, I would personally like to see it released as soon as possible, but I can definitely understand the sentiment on keeping it back for a while, maybe even a year or two, who knows. As for the PS4 scene, there's a lot of developers talking about something big coming and maybe for 9.00, but obviously I don't have really any information to go into any detail on that. So we'll have to just wait and see what this next new big thing is for the PS4. But obviously if I hear any new information about that or about this PS5 jailbreak or any future updates, I will make sure I make another video to let you guys know. So yeah, really, really interesting. We'll see if this ever gets released. If it gets released soon, he might just be waiting till Christmas or New Year or something to release it. Or he might be waiting a bit longer for more people to get PS5s. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. And I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one.